my Lamy Pico. So this is a pen that I carry with me in my pocket, in my back pocket, and I use it just for making notes. I have little booklets that I make notes with, and it's a nice little pen. It's a sort of telescopic pen. I can't show you at the moment because it's broken, and it's a ballpoint, and you can expand it up to a larger size that's more convenient for writing. You can see that it's actually made of brass, painted, and that's rubbed off because it's been in my pocket for quite a while now, probably a couple of years. And unfortunately, while it's in my pocket, the end unscrews. Now this end unscrews so you can get the refill in and replace the refill, but when it's about halfway out like that and I sit down, it bends it. So the threaded part there is snapped into two pieces. I tried super gluing it, that lasted for about 2 days. So it's now in a non-functional state. I noticed that it was getting a bit sticky with the telescopic mechanism, and I think that it's probably this breaking and bending slightly and fouling the mechanism. Now it turns out that inside here is a spring and a plastic slidey bit which fits over the end of the refill, and the spring goes in there, and this is just a spring loaded refill that allows the refill to move in and out with the telescopic motion. Now I really wanted to carry on using it, and I could send it off and get it repaired, but the problem with that is it would come back as another part like this, I assume. They just replace that part and off you go, and it would just do it again. So I decided to make a brass end for it, which is that bit there. So there's a thread on the end, which is I think it was 11.4 millimeters by 0.8 millimeter pitch. So I cut that on the lathe, and then I sort of fitted it by hand because it was quite difficult. There's a lot of little dimensions and things in here that enable it to work. I was going to remake this, and I've got some springs that I've ordered, but I realised I could just take this one apart, the original part, and fit it all together like so, and the refill goes in there, that goes down there, that screws on the end, and there you have the telescopic action, which is working perfectly. Alright, a little bit sticky. I think that might be the plastic of the mechanism, but it's definitely telescoping and not telescoping. It's better than it was. The only downside is that when you change the refill, the spring and the little slidey bit fall out. But I was gonna, and I did actually machine a groove on the inside there, and I've got some little circlips coming, but I don't know if that's necessary because I don't really care that the spring falls out. What I care about is having a pen that works most of the time. So if this rolls out and unscrews halfway, I think that'll be much more resistant to damage. I don't think it'll break in the same way the plastic one did. So I used some wet and dry paper on the brass there and burnished it at the end, but it's going to get worn in my pocket anyway. So yeah, it's got a little brass end on it now, which is a little bit weird. So I was wondering about maybe taking the paint off the brass here, and it would come up like the bit that's already got the paint removed. I mean, it's happening anyway. It's gradually being removed in my pocket, but I think for now I'll just leave it. So I'm quite pleased with that. I've got my pen back, although it's jamming a bit there. Let's undo it a little bit and see if that's the problem. Yeah, so the hole inside here is a little bit too small. I need to take probably about another 0.5 millimeter off. This is the sort of thing I had to do by hand. I couldn't really measure enough dimensions to get it working. I do have quite a lot of material in there, so I can take some more off down there, and that means I can screw it up, and the telescope action will work. I mean, it's sort of working. You have to push quite hard to get it to open. It's jamming at the end. I'll just take a little bit more material off there. And there we go. Fixed pen. Okay, so I've taken a bit of material off to try and sort out the sticking problem. So it's a little bit shorter here, and I've taken a bit of material off at the end of the thread as well, and it seems quite a lot better. And what's interesting is it now fits a lot better on the end of the barrel there. There used to be a little gap in there, so I think I'd made the part too long. And yeah, I mean, it still sticks occasionally a little bit, so there's something not quite right there, but I think that's definitely usable. When you've got it in your normal situation where you operate it with your thumb rather than sort of fingers, it's much more reliable. I think I'm pressing a little bit harder and pushing it a little bit further in, so there's a clearance somewhere that's not quite right, but overall I'm pretty happy with that. That's brought my pen back from the dead.